Alright, so I'm doing some maintenance on the jansenii here. Figured I'd give everybody a little bit of an update on how they're doing, aside from being on the floor. So I've had these guys for probably just under 2 months now. This is the female. She's kind of feisty. They're all high strung. Really cool snakes. I definitely recommend getting a hook for these guys. They've been doing really well. They've been eating great. They're just high strung. I really don't mess with them too much. So just a kind of a quick update. I'm probably gonna get bit. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's just a quick update. I mean, my lighting in here kind of sucks, so you can't really appreciate how gorgeous they are. Really cool snakes. Definitely not a beginner species by any means. They're high strung. The imports typically just don't do very well. I'm trying to stay in frame here. We're trying to go the other way. These were brought in very young, so I think that gives you a big leg up. If you do decide to get into them, definitely get them as young as possible, because adults just tend to not really acclimate very well. At least the wild caught stuff. This is the female. Like I said, she's a little bit bigger than the male. But I mean, they're cool snakes. You don't see them much. I keep them pretty much identical to how I keep my boiga, and they're doing really well actually. I'm keeping them cooler. I'm keeping them warmer, drier, and they seem to be doing really well. So, if you're going to take a leap in them, definitely do a lot of research. Learn as much as you can about these guys before you kind of jump into them. They're great snakes. They're just, as far as like a pet that you want to handle and that's sort of enjoyable to handle and interact with, these guys really aren't it, unfortunately. These guys and the red-tailed green rats are very similar. So they're definitely a cool, challenging species if you're looking for something that's kind of a step up from your normal things that you keep and that you see people keeping. As you can see, she's fairly well behaved. It's a species where sudden movements and sort of being rough with them, you're not going to get very far. They're really kind of sensitive, I guess. Very motion oriented too. So these guys are doing really well. Female's eating like a champ. The male's kind of weird with food, which is pretty much, I think, par for the course with a lot of Asian stuff, especially colubrids like rat snakes and whatnot. Boiga, they're just going to be odd with food. Males are, they're always going to be in girl mode, so they're going to eat maybe only a couple months out of the year, but this girl eats every time. So I'm doing some rearranging on the cages and setting them up with some RHPs and stuff that they've had in there. I just had to get some thermostats. These guys have actually been doing really well just at room temperature in like the upper 70s. They've been doing fine. So giving them some more heat though. I'm gonna get them a nice hot spot that's up to like 86. And I mean, I think a bigger water bowl will up humidity alone. So it's they're doing really well. I mean, as you can see, she's not spazzing out now. If I started moving really fast and sort of being rough with her, she'd try and take off. But I mean, they do calm down a little bit. Very interesting snakes, very cool snakes. I really like them. I'm hoping I can get these two to breed probably within the next year or two. This is a challenging species to breed, and it's not necessarily challenging to get the eggs. The challenge is incubating eggs and getting babies to hatch. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting project. I'm excited. This is a dream species of mine, and to actually have them in my own collection and to have my hands on them is just mind-blowing to me, because I never thought I'd actually be able to get some or be successful with them. But I think starting out with the right animals early is a very big leg up, because if you start out with really ornery, huge adults, they can do well. I think it's just a matter of you have to ignore them. You have to leave them alone, and that's what I do with these guys. I really don't interact with them much. I don't handle them much. I leave them alone. I drop feed, just throw food in there and leave it. Usually she'll eat it right off the tongs if I put it in the mounted hide. And I mean, that's it. I'll show a video of my setups too with the lights on and everything as well. So, Gonyosoma jansenii. Alright, and so to give you an idea of how I'm keeping these guys, tons of foliage as you can see, mounted hides, floor hides. There's some wet, damp spag down there too, so it's like a humid hide. We have some perches with the RHP, water bowl, and I actually think she's in here somewhere. I didn't see her go back up, but you kind of get the idea. This is a 200 quart for the female. Male's in like 160, I believe. He's a little smaller than her, but Python portals from Specialty Enclosure Designs. Yeah, he doesn't seem to use the mounted hide as much. He's almost always down in here, and then perched with the probe under the RHP, but I really don't see him much. I see the female poke her head out a lot from the hide up top there. She'll be watching, but yeah, I mean, these Python portals look really well. I'm not a fan of this tub model. Just, it's got wheels, and so it's got the wheel well in the back, which is like a little ledge, which just gets in the way and cuts back on actual like floor space. But I mean, it did the job at the time. I've been having a really hard time finding these 200 quart Sterilites. So this was one of the last ones I had, but I'm going to finish getting them set up, and they'll be ready to rock and roll. If you have any questions, too, feel free to hit me up. I haven't been keeping these guys that long, so I'm not going to claim to be an expert by any means or anything like that. This is my first time with Gonyosoma. This has just been working really well for the last couple weeks since I got them, and I haven't had any issues yet. So this can be sort of just an idea of where to go with them, maybe, but definitely do as much research as you can. There's honestly not a ton out there about jansenii, but I'm hoping to correct that. I'm hoping to get more experience with them, kind of really dial them in and get them where I wanted, and have some success with them in the future. So, thanks. Later.